stuff that I write, and they can kind of feel me and feel themselves through my writing. So I love writing. That's like my favorite thing. I feel like it represents me to its like fullest extent. I also model, and I love modeling because it allows me to tap into my divine femininity, and it keeps me in tune with myself. And it's also a different way of, you know, expressing myself creativity in a creative way, which I
You know,
love.
I seen your work on social media, and it's absolutely amazing. You know, the
Thank you.
photography is beautiful, the settings are beautiful. You know, your poses, it's just it's amazing that you're doing that. And I like that you said that it helps you tune into your being female, right? And I think, and we talked about this a little bit, that's why we have the Fearless in Pink. It's about tapping into that female. We don't have to be male like, right? To be so. Let's take a step back. I want you to talk about your business now. Tavi. So you write for Tavi. Where do you get your inspiration from that?
So most of my inspiration comes from everyday life experiences that I experience, you know, like past experiences or experiences that I've had in like, you know, my present day life. I also get inspiration from other people. So I'm very observant, and I like to use life as like my mood board for a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that's why it's so relatable and people can actually connect with it, because they're experiences that I have personally gone through and other people have, but they
Mm-hmm.
just don't the confidence or like, you know, the guts to like say it out loud. um I get that compliment a lot, and I get a lot of people saying like, thank you so much for your writing, like I have been through the same thing, and it makes me so happy because I'm only being myself through my writing and other people connect with it. But then it also makes me feel, you know, not alone and connected to other humans, because everybody's going through a lot of the same experiences. So yeah.
You know what I like? I know what I like about you, Octavia. I like that you you help other women by tuning into yourself. And I think it's that strength of character and that strength of that you have of knowing who you are and being grounded in who you are. And I think that's why people say they can connect. Now, when you talk about, you know, I'm going to get grounded. Say somebody says, I want to be like Octavia, and I want to uh, be grounded in myself. I want to have that confidence. What would you tell somebody about doing that?
So I think about this all the time actually. And I wasn't necessarily like I have not always been the most confident person.
Mm-hmm.
Um I talk to my mom about it all the time, and I tell her like I really tapped into my confidence when I started high school. It's like my freshman year of high school. In middle school I was very shy and very timid. I've always been like the same characteristically, like I've
Mm-hmm.
always been a nice girl, but I was more shy. And so when I got to high school, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I want to be popular. Like, I want to have a lot of friends. And she told me the advice she gave, she was like, just be friends with everybody. So that's what I did. So I really pushed myself to be more extroverted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where my confidence, like the confidence in myself, started to form. I started to, you know, dress however I wanted, do my hair how I wanted. I involved myself in like, you know, dance team at school. So I was a lot more social. But I think it all starts with just like really believing in yourself and pushing yourself to be okay with you know, tapping into that confidence, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not a concept. It's really challenging, and a lot of people are gonna like, you know, discourage you to do it, or like they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna make fun of you, and you just have to like, you have to believe in yourself enough to know that like, you know, you are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You can do whatever you set your mind to. um so that's where it started for me, where I really tapped into like, you know, understanding myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the years have gone by, I've done more work, like, you know, healing through specific things. And like traumas, and then like, just realizing things. I feel like I'm very mature and like emotionally and self-aware for my
Mm-hmm.
age. So I've worked a lot of stuff like that with like therapy. So it just takes like a real look at yourself, and then like, being real about who you are and
Mm-hmm.
owning it.
You, you, you said something to me that was fascinating. 'Cause, I did my dissertation on women business owners, and we found that women in research, now we can't label everybody. I don't ever put everybody in the same box, but the
Right.
majority of women, enough women that research shows that women tend to have a higher risk of higher fear of failing, so
Mm-hmm.
they don't take the risks. An
Right.
example, male, more likely, not everybody, male business owners will go get a bank loan, or they go to the credit union, whatever. Women tend to be, I'm going to use my credit card. I'm going to save money. I'm going to borrow money from the family. Right? So these interesting things that are happening with self-efficacy with women business
Mm-hmm.
owners. And I thought, and I'm thinking to myself, when does that happen? Little girls, my granddaughter, when she was little, she would race dirt bikes and race against little boys. All the way up to she was 7, racing up to 11 years old. And there's no concept in their mind of they're better, stronger. But I found, and this is what's interesting about you, I found that something happens around the age 11 or 12 that girls go from confident to not confident and become like self-conscious. But you said at that age, you were like, as you're going into high school, you're quiet through junior high school, but in high school, you really blossomed, where usually it's the other way. How in the heck did you do that?
Honestly, I have no idea. I don't even know what it was that inspired me to want to do that. I remember telling
Like,
I know, I'm like, I don't know. And I had a lot of problems with that with like other girls, because they weren't on the same page with me, like they weren't in that mentality. So yeah, I've always been like a fan of women. I've always
mm-hmm,
loved women empowerment. Like I love it. I love when women stick together. I feel like we're so powerful when we like come
uh-huh.
together.
But you're ahead of
Yeah.
your time going into high school with all that confidence. I'm just like, I'm trying to, I'm doing some research trying to figure out what happened from the time. What's that shift? What's that shift? And here you are. Well, I came into my confidence when I was, and I'm like, that's when everybody else is like, and some women, when they fall into that for whatever reason, and whether it's socioeconomics, if it's hormones, if it's the family, the inner family culture, the culture of your family, as far as, how they see the world,
Right.
then they don't, sometimes they never get that back, and then become women business owners, and then they have this higher fear of failure, or their risk, they don't like to take risks. But I just think that's amazing. And I think that I think how you got that is through that self-awareness. So let's say I'm a young lady, junior high school, I'm in this stage of I'm not sure of myself, I'm not confident, and I came to you. What would you say to me? What are the steps for I can be you?
Okay, so I would encourage that young girl to fully embrace who she is 100%. And embrace herself in all, entirety, and just, not worry about what other people think.
That's a good one.
Yes, at that age, it is so like, what people think is so important. It's like literally half of like what we think about, and like we're so hyper focused on like, oh, what do they think of me, or like, I'm not wearing cool shoes and I'm not doing this. If I could go back and talk to my like younger self, I'd definitely tell her like, don't worry about what those girls are mean to you, because they're going through something. Like, they're projecting onto you, they're hurting, and like it has nothing to do with you personally. So like, yeah, I definitely just tell myself to own who I am 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Just
And that's what you did. That's what you did a lot of. And it's that
Yeah.
self-awareness. And
Yeah.
and we as women, young women and older, middle age, or whatever, all women and men
Mhm.
sometimes, we
Right.
have, but we're talking about women right now, we have to believe in ourselves.
Yes.
We have to believe in ourselves, because
Mhm.
even Sheryl Sandberg, she wrote a book called Lean In. I don't know if you ever read it.
I haven't.
And she's a COO of Facebook. And I'm going to give you kind of a nutshell, quickie version of it. Basically, she says when women are in a boardroom, they
Mhm.
tend to lean back, where men tend to lean forward. And that's why she says lean in. And
Mhm.
it's interesting, as women, we have to make sure that this is why I think people connect with you, because you have that confidence, you have that self-awareness and that this is me, this is me, this is my look, this is who I am, here I am world. And I think that more women need to have that, whether they're in the art, you're a poet and a dancer and a model, and you have your company. And so I think you tend to be very creative, because I've seen the stuff that you post.
Yeah.
And so whether it's you're creative, if you're corporate, we still have to be able to find ourselves and be ourselves and accept that there's nothing wrong with us.
Yes.
Who determines what's wrong with us?
Oh, yes. That is, I agree 1000%. I agree. And the biggest step is believing in yourself. And
I agree.
yes, sometimes for me, even today, like I had those like setbacks and I'm like, oh wait, no, actually, like I'm doing great. Like
Mhm.
everything's fine. I kind of affirm myself that like I deserve to believe in myself, and I deserve, like be successful and be happy and like be a fierce woman and like
Mhm.
business in the world of creativity. Yeah, so believing in yourself is like, that's like,
Number one, I think so too. You know what it is with women too, is they self-talk. It's how
mhm.
the stuff that we say to ourselves, you know,
Right,
it's like you just brought it up, and it made me think about it, when you're like, well, I had those moments, but I'm like, wait a minute, no, I'm fierce. Because
right,
you
yes,
you changed the way the conversation in your head was going.
exactly, yes. I've done a lot of that, and I've learned that through therapy. Actually, I think everyone should go to therapy.
Uh,
I love it. It's helped me a lot with finding myself.
mhm.
But yeah, a lot of like my confidence comes from really just sitting down and like being honest with myself about like what I want, who I am, and then like just owning that, and then
Mhm.
not being afraid of what other people think about it, because ultimately that's what it is. Like it comes down to, people being so hyper focused on what other people think.
Mhm.
So I've just kind of like learned to tune that out and then just focus on myself, because ultimately that's where the confidence stems from. It's not from anybody else, in their opinions.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that like you're talking about therapist, one of I have a customer that's a therapist. She's amazing. And I do her marketing. Yeah, she's a great girl. And but there's not so much anymore, but there's this stigma that comes with that. And it's really shouldn't be there, because it's about being healthy
Right.
mentally, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. And I think that from, even when I was young, and my mother's generation and going back, they labeled that as a negative thing, but I think that's starting to shift.
Yes.
And I think there's nothing wrong with it. If it makes you feel good, it helps you see we get coaches for business, right? Do we get business coaches, right?
Right. Yes.
But we won't get a life coach that's like a therapist or something to help us. But we want to invest in our business. We want to invest in ourselves.
Yeah. It's
That
so
is so
important.
crazy.
Right. Yeah. It's important to invest in yourself, because ultimately it's going to help you with your business or with
Mhm.
whatever you want to do in life. It sets the foundation for everything else. When you are good within yourself, everything else kind of flows together.
It does flow together. And I think you also get a fresh perspective of who you are as an individual. And
Yes.
and you got to be okay with it. This is me, and I'm okay with it.
Yes.
You know, who cares what so and so down the street thinks, or at school, or at the library, wherever it is. So where are you going? Let's talk about your future. What are your dreams? Where do you see yourself going?
Well, I just recently finished writing a poetry book. So,
Hmm.
I will be releasing that on June 8th, and it is titled Like a Butterfly.
Like a butterfly. I love that.
Yeah. I love butterflies. I feel
Hmm.
like butterflies like my spirit animal. I have like a whole leg sleeve, and like my tattoos have butterflies on it.
Hmm.
But it's a really beautiful like animal, or no, it's insect to me,
Hmm.
because it symbolizes like growth, and it's
Hmm.
beautiful. And it's
Rebirth.
also, yes, rebirth, and also
Hmm.
it's like, I feel like I connect to it too, because they're very calm,
Hmm.
and they're very like free, and
Hmm.
those are two things that I would definitely categorize myself as. So I named it Like a Butterfly, and within the poetry book, there's like each phase of the stages of metamorphosis.
I love that.
So yeah, I have a collection of poems in the book, and I'm really excited to share it with everyone. Be able to
So,
see it.
can they get it on Amazon or Goodreads, or where can they get
So,
that book?
so I'll have it exclusively on my website, and then I'll also have it up on Amazon too. So
Okay, great. So what's your website? What's the address?
my website is www.tavywrites.com.
Mm,
And I pretty much have like a little bio up there. I have some pictures from like my modeling, and then you can find my merch on there, and my book will be posted up on there, and like all my social media handles are on my
oh,
website.
good. Because I think you're a positive person. I think that, I think you're like a light in with people and helping people. We just came out of, well, not 100% yet, but we're coming out of COVID and this
Right.
pandemic. And how many people got depressed? How many suicide rates up? Drug use is up. Domestic violence is up. Across this country. And it's good to have that fresh, uh, like a fresh air, or just this refreshing sense of calm in reading poetry. And then it's okay. Let's just, well, we're getting back to it, right?
Yes. I'm very open to emotions. I'm just a very open person.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm like not afraid to cry. I'm not afraid to like, to dive deep into all that stuff. So I feel like I really get into it when I write.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll like do spoken word with my sister. She's my producer, and she does like all of the music and stuff behind
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll listen back and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really sad. I'm like, I don't know if I want to listen to this right now, but like I get really into it, like I really convey everything that I need to. And I am very open emotionally through my work too. So
And it's okay. I think why is it not okay in some cases? You can't be sad, you can't be unhappy, you can't be depressed. Everybody gets depressed and unhappy and sad once in a while. And we need to make that, okay. And we need to make it okay that people don't feel, hey, I'm not feeling positive. Hey, and that's what you have friends and family for. You have, your faith, if you're a person of faith, whatever faith that is. And just it needs to be okay when we can feel that way. We feel down, get back up, self-talk, right? So I like the fact that you put all this emotions into your book, because other people have those same emotions, and we
right.
can relate to one another.
Absolutely. Yes.
What a
Yeah.
positive thing. I think that's a
Yeah.
positive thing. You know what you should do?
What should I do?
You should have a workbook that goes with it, where they can write things about.
Oh my gosh, my mom, she mentioned
Oh,
that.
well, your mom and I, like, the same.
Yes. She was like, you know what? It would be so cool to have like a workbook, and like therapists could use it, or like, kids
Or somebody
could,
can buy your book and they can write like a journal.
right.
I think it's so positive to get that out and to reflect on it. There's two types of reflection. One is reflection on action, So that means reflecting backwards, right? What happened there? What did it look like? How did I pay part of whatever that was that happened? Maybe an argument. And then reflection in action. So as you're actually doing something, maybe that you might feel depressed or sad. So that is causing you to have a certain behavior. So reflecting in the moment so that you could stop and say, no, I'm not going to say that to myself. I'm not going to say that to that other person, right?
Wow, that's so important. And that I understand that comes with like a certain level of self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Some people aren't there yet. And I have had to learn to give people grace for that. Because I've also been in that situation where like I wasn't, self-aware or in tune with myself to understand how to do that. So I'm very grateful that, my therapist has helped me with that and I've learned how to do it and I practice it like on a consistent basis. But one thing that I do try to like promote and like, advocate for in my writing is like, it's okay to feel.
Absolutely.
And when I was younger, it was like, I just didn't think it was okay. And a lot of the time I didn't think that my emotions were valid. So over the years, I've kind of had to like reteach myself and like tell myself that my feelings matter and like it's okay for me to acknowledge them and then like, it'll pass. So yeah, I think that's really healthy. And I think everybody should like definitely tap more into it because it's okay to be, and like feel however you feel ultimately.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's, women tend to be, I think, nature, we tend to be nurturers, right? Because, because we were the ones, we're the ones that bring life into the world. So I think it's innate in us that we want to nurture. And I think a lot of that, well, you were just talking about where I can't feel that way, or I can't, no, it's okay, to acknowledge it. Then once you acknowledge it, you can work through it,
Yes. And it takes a certain level of like honesty with yourself. Like you really have to like look at yourself in the mirror and go, okay, like I'm feeling like this and like what am I gonna do about it? Am I gonna like shove it down and like just ignore it, or am I gonna face it and then we can like grow from it? So
I agree. I think that's good. I think it's amazing. Now you have a podcast.
I do.
So tell us about it.
So my podcast is pretty much on brand with my writing, and I talk about a lot of like, healing and like, self-care, self-help. I'm really, really, really big on self-help and growth. Starting with myself, like that is my mission every day in this life, is just to become a better version of myself. So I really try to share my journey with my listeners and my followers. So we talk a lot about stuff like that, just like things that I realize on my everyday to day journey about myself. Like as I'm evolving and growing, I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, look, this is what I learned.
See, that helps people. They don't feel alone. People feel alone.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of the time people think I'm like this like perfect put together person. I'm like, guys, I was literally like crying like 20 minutes ago. Like it's totally most authentic, like honest and real person ever. And like I'm not afraid to like be like, no, I was actually like not okay like 2 seconds ago, but like it's all good now. Like everything's okay. Everything's working out. Yeah, so I share a lot of that in my podcast. If any of you want to tag along, I have it up on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I also have, I think, like the first 5 episodes up on my YouTube channel. But all of that's find on my website. But yeah, I love my podcast because it allows me to connect with my my following in a different way. Because when I'm writing or like I post my posts on Instagram and stuff, it's not always me talking. So it's like a different kind of connection where I can like just speak my mind and like do it in a way that's like kind of more like human like, I guess, instead of like having to sit down and write a poem or like
that post, just letting it flow. And I think that's a great thing. And what is the name of your podcast? You didn't tell us.
It's called Tavi Time.
Tavi Time. I love that. I love that, really and truly. And that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I don't have anything else for you. I just wanted, and when our time's coming up it's 2:26 right now, but I just wanted Octavia to thank you. Thank you for coming on, sharing your wisdom with us, and helping out, people through your podcast, through your books, through your poems. And you're an amazing young lady. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Colleen. It was great to be on your podcast.
I enjoyed every bit of it.